Am I the jerk for driving into a parking spot at the same time as someone else? There were 2 parking spots, so neither car was without a space, but I was clearly in the one they wanted. I was parking and drove into a spot at the same time as another car. The 2 spots were back to back, so the bonnets of our cars were facing each other. I didn't think this was an issue until he got irate and threw up his arms, telling me to move. He had clearly intended on driving through his spot and into the one I was in. I refused to move. We were both in a spot, and we arrived at the exact same time. There was no way for me to know he was intending to drive through. I hadn't even seen his car until I was in my spot because there was another car obscuring my view of his, not in a dangerous way. I just shook my head and said, "Nope, that's not how it works." He was clearly angry because the spot he was in had a car whose wheel was over the line on one side and the trolley parking on the other. He could still fit, but it was a squeeze to get out. I didn't see this as my problem. Either one of us could have moved. He could have moved if he didn't like that spot. The way I see it, we were in our respective spots, and if he didn't like his, he could move. If I had intended to drive through into his spot, I wouldn't have expected him to move because he was in that spot. Nothing else happened. Nothing else was said. This isn't some major issue or something that ended in an argument, but I don't know if I was actually wrong and should have just moved. Am I the asshole for not moving my car when he was clearly angry? You did nothing wrong here. You were there first, period. There is no inherent right to drive through a spot, and parking lots can bring out the worst behavior in certain people. Don't ever feel pressured to yield to those people because it only rewards their immaturity. Am I the jerk for not taking in a family member with a criminal past? My partner and I have just taken over a family property that was given to us at a time of need. Our previous home was unsafe, and attempts to find another were fruitless. We were flabbergasted and extremely grateful. Shortly after we moved in, 3 of our family members, including the person who gave us the property, were evicted. We immediately offered that one person a place to stay, but they refused and instead asked us to take in their adult child. This adult child has a criminal past, which includes things I am not permitted to post here, but suffice it to say we have concerns. My partner has put his foot down and said no, stating that this is not what we signed up for. He said we would have stayed where we were if we had known and found our own place some other way. Cue angry family members claiming he is being selfish and that he should do what was done for him and give up space. But he is right. This is not what we signed up for. Our concerns are genuine, and there is not that much room, so we would basically be sandwiched in with this person. Also, the family member in question has made no attempt to reach out to discuss it with us, make their case, or even express interest that they want to live with us. We are just hearing all of this through the grapevine, which is kind of weird to me. If it were me, I would want to make my case, assure people I would not be a problem, and lay out my plan for getting back on my feet. I am hanging back and letting my partner hash it out, as it is his side of the family. My partner seems to think this situation is pretty cut and dry, and is sleeping soundly at night, but I am tortured and want to run away from the whole situation and live in a box. It was a long move across state lines with pets, and 2 truckloads of things that are not even fully unpacked yet. The idea of packing everything up again and moving somewhere else is soul-crushing, but so is the guilt. My mother and my therapist say we are in the right, but I do not know how that could be when I feel this awful. Are we the assholes? You are not in the wrong here. It's not your family, and yours so isn't packing to move. If you moved into that house because your previous location was unsafe, why would they think you'd want their criminal son living with you? Let it go. Am I the jerk for not splitting my friend's train tickets home after getting different flights due to missing our original flights home? We are all 26-year-old females. We have just been on holiday and missed our flight home due to oversleeping. We woke up and I was panicking as I had work the next day, so I was looking at flights. I had originally found a cheaper option that would mean us getting a cheap coach to another airport. This would result in us getting a cheaper flight to a different city in our country, and my partner would pick us up and drop us home. They did not want to get the coach even though it would have worked out cheaper for all of us. I had to make a decision and found one seat on a direct flight home, which would get me in earlier. This was approved by 2 of them, but one of my other friends said it was selfish. I booked the flight and then helped them find an alternative flight for the 3 of them. Splitting any of the costs was not discussed or agreed upon at this point. I left for the airport and then got a message from one of them asking if I would be okay with splitting the costs of all the flights together. At first I was not sure but had to think about it and decided it was fair as they got more expensive flights. My flight was delayed by 9 hours and they ultimately got home before me. They had to fly to a different city and get train tickets home for a 3-hour train. The next day, I sent over the calculations of what I would have to send each of them, but they were not happy as I had not included their train tickets. They would have had to buy transport home regardless of if we made our original flight, albeit the new train tickets they bought were more expensive. This was not a cost agreed upon, and now there is back and forth about what I should pay as they spent more on getting home. I did not choose the earlier flight due to cost, just to get home from my responsibilities as I had work the next day while they had an extra day off. Now I feel villainized for doing so, although they were okay with it at the time of me booking my flight. I feel like I have been more than fair in splitting the flights, but the train was a surprise cost put on me. Am I the asshole for disagreeing with this? I struggle to set boundaries sometimes and feel a bit bullied into this. I feel like they have fallen out with me over this, which seems pointless as we have had a lovely holiday. Has anyone got any advice with this? I want to say no, but I am struggling with advocating for myself here. I think you are not in the wrong here. You paid for your flight home, they should pay for theirs. They're all adults, and it's not your job to wake them up. Unless it was entirely your fault that everyone missed the flight, there's no reason you should cover their costs. Everyone should be responsible for their own travel arrangements. Am I the jerk for not letting my parents stay when they had nowhere to go? When my siblings and I got old enough, we decided to rent together and split expenses. The only parent we had any contact with was our father. He does not have his life together. The only thing I can remember him helping us with was maybe a light bill once, when we were in our late teens and early 20s. He also had one of our youngest siblings, IS, stay with him. Some of us ended up sending him money on multiple occasions to fix cars he bought, claiming it was so he could see us more often. I can count on one hand the number of times he has come to see us over the years. We always ended up visiting him. We sent him money to renovate an apartment with a shady landlord and no lease agreement, for food when he really didn't have any, and for the internet. I was young and naive and allowed him to put the lights and internet in my name for one place that he ended up losing because he got arrested. I had to pay the balance he left behind. He always said he missed us but did not put in any effort to see us. When we planned something fun and covered his cost, he would either forget or arrive very late. So we stopped inviting him. He got arrested again, and it was disappointing, especially when we found out it was for the same old mess. The shady landlord came to my youngest sibling who was staying with my dad and said that our father was not allowed on the property anymore. They found a replacement for him and hinted at how soon our youngest sibling could collect their things and leave. We did a mad dash to rent a moving truck, packed up all our youngest siblings' things, and moved them out to stay with a friend in less than 48 hours. While we were packing and hopping in the van, we got a call from our dad. He had been released and was cracking jokes and downplaying the whole situation. Once our youngest sibling got situated in their new place, we tried to get back to our normal life but still kept getting calls for money. At one point, he called one of us hinting that he might have to come stay with us. He was told that we were not comfortable with that. Our leasing office has a zero-tolerance policy for what he was arrested for, and it could get us evicted if they found out. I also believe in my heart that he stole from our youngest sibling before. Am I the asshole? I have moments where I feel like I made the right choice. Anytime we have a crisis, we solve it on our own. We didn't ask him for help because we knew he was not reliable. Then I have moments when I remember him paying for the lights once or driving our moving van when we first got together. We were young and didn't have experience driving trucks at the time. But then I remember all the money that was sent and how we clearly helped him out more monetarily than he has done for us. I'm just tired of feeling like I am responsible for him, but I still have the sadness of him not having his life together. In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here. You have helped him in the past, but continuing to do so will only harm you in the long run. People like this often don't care and will take advantage until you're just as miserable and broke as they are. You're not obligated to let the mess that is his life drag you down. Am I the jerk for telling my best friend's parents about her sugar daddy? I am beyond stressed and would like advice on whether I did the right thing, but I'm somewhat sure I did. My best friend is only 18 years old. She signed up for a sugar daddy website and told me she would only take offers without sex. I said it seemed fine and supported her, but she ended up breaking that promise. My best friend has a really high sex drive, so I shouldn't be surprised. She found someone who offered to pay her a lot of money, and she told me about it. He was 35 years old. She had already slept with him at this point. I freaked out at her. She gave me a whole spiel. She said she would sleep with him anyway because she found him attractive. The money was just a cherry on the top. She said she really enjoyed the sex and that she is really excited by the idea of making money doing this. She said it would only be him, but I immediately said she can't do that. I have no words. She's only 18 years old. She can't be sleeping with someone that old. It is just going to be really bad for her. I shouldn't even need to explain it. Just know. She saw how freaked out I was and promised me she wouldn't see him again. However, she lied to me, and I found out from a friend. She has been seeing him and getting money from the deal. I told her I was going to tell her parents. She can't do this, and she freaked out. She begged me not to tell them and deleted her social media accounts and all contact with him. I did tell them though because she is 18 years old and living in their house. They have a right to know. They were obviously shocked and disgusted. I don't know if they fully believe me, but I was always close to her mom, so I just told her everything. My best friend is beyond mad at me. She has deleted me on all platforms and blocked my number. I tried to go see her and she refused. I don't understand why she doesn't get it. She's a teenager. She can't be doing this. I'm sorry, but no. The way she talked about it like she was having the time of her life to our friends is just... She has no idea the impact this will have on her in her life. She thinks she's an adult and can make her own decisions, but no. Not decisions like this. Am I the asshole? I genuinely don't know. It is her life, and she is 18, so she is an adult and can make her own decisions. Adults have a right to make decisions that other people may consider unwise. It certainly wasn't your place to tell on your friend to her parents. I appreciate your concern for her welfare, but you did some things wrong here, OP. Am I the jerk for wanting money back from a friend who destroyed my property they borrowed? So I, a 17-year-old male, was friends with this one girl, who I'll call Belle, for a little over a month. We got close quickly, we exchanged sweaters and over time, stuffed animals. I also gave her a couple of other things to borrow, which we both agreed upon. We both work at the same job, and a friend and I helped her get the job. Last Friday we had a shift together, and I just wasn't feeling it, so I didn't talk to anyone during the entire shift, which lasts about 8 hours. During that time, our mutual friend and Belle were, I assume, talking badly about me for whatever reason. Our mutual friend came up to me and said that Belle wants me to give the stuffed animals and sweaters to him. I was fine with it and stated that if that was the case, I would like all my stuff back. At the end of the shift, I just wanted to go home. Nobody talked to me, so I did the same and immediately went home after closing everything. The next day, our mutual friend called me weird for not driving Belle home since I usually did that, but I just shrugged it off. A couple of days passed, and I got a message that one of my sweaters was thrown out by her dad because she left it to dry after her cat peed on it. I was pretty annoyed and was just going to ask for some money for it. The next day, I asked when she was going to give me my stuff back. She left me on read, not saying anything, which had me a little upset. It seemed like she was not only ignoring my message about the sweater, but also not telling me when I should pick up my stuff. I said that I wanted some money for my sweater, and that I would just pick the rest of my stuff up the next day during work. I also commented on how she left my message about my stuff on read. She replied, saying that she's not paying since it's not her fault. After that, it escalated quickly to her pretty much trying to attack me emotionally because I was refusing to back down on getting money for my sweater. I pretty much left her undelivered since then and opted to communicate through our mutual friend since I was done with her behavior. I then figured out she's been trying to badmouth me to everyone I know, including our managers. It's just annoying now. Last night I received my stuff, and to my surprise, when I opened the bag, I was still missing some things. I messaged her earlier about either bringing my stuff or paying me. So, am I the asshole for wanting money for my stuff that she's lost or destroyed? You are not in the wrong here for being mad or wanting to be reimbursed. However, let this be a hard lesson learned. Not everyone is trustworthy to lend things to. 9 times out of 10, you will get something back in worse condition than it was lent, if you get it back at all. Don't expect to be reimbursed or to have a good relationship with her moving forward, but definitely speak to your manager to explain the situation and ask to stay out of the drama. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.